Matt Jansen,
What's up?
great to have you.
Thank you.
So, you're the co-founder of Raw Nutrition.
Yes, yeah.
So maybe just let us know the story of the brand and how you built that business.
Okay, yeah. So I initially I met Dom in 2016, 2017, and he had actually reached out to me for coaching at the time. And shortly thereafter, he started his What's Now Relive, his clinics. So we had just really kind of kicked it off, had a good relationship, and then his clinic business essentially exploded overnight. He needed to focus more attention there. So this is, I think, a kind of a crucial part of the conversation is that he reached out to me. He's like, Matt, I can't do this. And it was like, I think maybe 3 months of working together. He said, but I want to continue our friendship. And one day I want to help do something to give you an avenue out of bodybuilding if you want it. And really at that point, I had kind of used, Dom and I continued our friendship. I was started to use the clinic for my own blood work, for my own, everything that I needed from a bodybuilding perspective at the time, health perspective. And then I started to refer clients and athletes to him as well. And then I'll never forget it. I was in Georgia, and this was in January of 2019. And he reached out to me and said, hey, let's start a supplement company together, which was that's Revive, which is our vitamin and nutraceutical line. And we really just had a lot of support. And Dom's vision with the clinics was to kind of not blur the lines of sports nutrition and vitamins and nutraceuticals. So all 2019, we just went full in on Revive. Our first big athlete, which is also another important part of the conversation, was Chris. And at that point, Dom had just asked me, he's like, if we could go after one person, who would it be? And without even thinking about it, I just knew that Chris was that person, because Chris at the time also had a heavy priority on his health. And I just knew that 2019. Yeah. So I knew the person that he was. I think we announced that partnership in June of 2019. And then really we had our first business related conversation around Raw. And I was at anyway, it was a show after the Olympia in California. It was a 212 show. But we had our first conversation around Raw, around which supplements that we wanted to bring out first. And then we worked through essentially all of COVID in 2020 to bring it to market. And we launched on August 1st of 2020. So really it kind of started out as a friendship with Dom and I, and then Revive came into the picture. And then from Revive, that was the initial introduction of Chris. We launched Raw, and then shortly thereafter, there was an opportunity to bring Chris on, and we wanted to do it more so in an ownership role and give him equity in the company rather than just have him be an athlete. And then here we are.
5 years later?
Yeah, 5 years later.
So there are hundreds of supplement companies, especially in the US. So why did you feel the need to make a new one?
So again, it really came down to the support that we had on the Revive side and the customer base that we had that just wanted to support us in the sports supplement space. And honestly, I mean, I'm sure Dom said the same thing to you guys, but it was really never a desire of ours, because we didn't want to just come out and make more of the same. And obviously with my coaching, I knew what I knew and what I was confident in is that we would have support from the start. How big, I personally never thought that we would reach the scale of what we did in the time that we did. But I think it comes down to the partnership and the business relationship that Dom, Chris, and I have, in the sense that we all kind of complement each other in each other's areas of weakness and benefit each other in that way. And obviously Chris's platform is massive. And we've just really worked incredibly hard to get where we're at, but at the same time, in terms of like what we've tried to do different is we've tried to really build a brand based off of our individual personalities and what we truly believe in, and just being, unapologetically yourself, which is something that we really stand for. And whether it's, going all in on bodybuilding or all in on work or all in on being a dad, like that's what we try to bring to the table every day, and just that uniqueness of the three of us.
Talk a little bit about your background as a coach. Why did you enter the bodybuilding or fitness industry?
Yeah, so I was always like attracted to how to acquire muscle. I mean, honestly, it started out really early. My dad and I, my dad lifted. My dad also introduced me to like the Rocky movies super early. And I particularly noticed, I think at an early age, just like even his development from Rocky 1 to Rocky 4. And that just kind of like, it really just was something that I was not attracted to, but interested in. I played soccer growing up. That was my main thing, but I always, from 7th grade on, I always lifted in the off season. I lifted when I wasn't playing. I played on multiple teams at the same time. So there would be seasons of not lifting at all. And when I could, I would lift. And then I played soccer in college, and I was injured my freshman year. And then after that injury, I just dove fully into bodybuilding. And I just honestly, I mean, even to this day, I still am not like ready to give up my competitive nature, but it was just a way to channel that in a way that I can control. And then honestly, I was just super blessed. I always want to give credit to my initial crop of athletes. The first 3 athletes that I worked with all turned pro relatively quickly, 2 with me, and then 1 went on to work with another coach and then turned pro in his next show. So in the community of Georgia that I lived in, my name just grew pretty quickly. And then shortly thereafter that, I got married. I moved to Lexington, Kentucky, and Justin Compton lived in that area. Many of you may or may not know him, but he was a really well and up-and-coming bodybuilder at the time. He was preparing for the Chicago Pro, which was his pro debut. And but this was back in the MD days when there was still the forums, and it was like the thread was like, what were the most hardcore gyms in America? And there was this gym called Forge Gym in Lexington, Kentucky, and Justin mentioned that in the thread. And I reached out to him at that time and said, hey man, I know that I can't like hang with you pound for pound, but I would love the opportunity to train with you. And Justin didn't turn me down, went out there for a workout. We trained legs together the first time ever. And then after that workout, he had reached out to me and said, hey, I enjoyed training with you today. And what I really enjoyed is that you didn't like come to like get information with me, and you just came to benefit the workout. And that's what started our relationship there. So that was kind of like, the stepping stones of like, I think every coach has their moment that they can either kind of like really lock in and take advantage of, or they miss. And those were kind of the moments for me. The initial 3 crop of athletes that I had were super successful. And then moving to Lexington, meeting Justin, and that really kind of elevated my career to the next level. And that was 2015, 2016 timeframe.
So what was the biggest success as a coach?
I mean, my biggest success as a coach, I would say the titles with Sean, for sure.
The Olympia title?
Yeah, in 212.
Yeah.
So he's won twice. We won twice together. I would say that was the biggest success that I've had, for sure.
Nice. So you're still in bodybuilding? No more coaching? Why did you stop coaching? Because you didn't want to trade time for money, or?
Well, I mean, why did I stop coaching? I think that that could be a podcast in and of itself. Obviously, there's some things happened last year that just like went south in a hurry. And I think my biggest goal and objective is the time that I have with my family. I have 3 boys. I had 2, and then we just had our 3rd. And my heart's desire, okay. My heart's desire is to be a dad, and that really is where my focus is at. And then obviously, I think something else that's really important to understand is in terms of our company dynamic is that Dom, Chris, and I aren't guys just like sitting on the outside of that are the faces of the company, but like we are really in it on a daily basis. We're working, we're making decisions, we're working together, we're there every day. So my time, there's only so much time allocated in a day, and again, my first priority is to be the man of my house and to be a good dad and be a good husband, and then also to help continue to build this company to what it is today. And then obviously some of the circumstances that happened last year within bodybuilding, I just decided that it was in my best interest to leave. That being said, I still am helping. I still have a desire to coach, and I still enjoy it. I'm just not coaching the pros that I was. So.
You're still following the competitions, obviously?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So what's your pick for top 5 Open Olympia this year?
I would top 5. My gut says that Derek is winning. That's where I feel it. I think Derek's going to win. Obviously, top 5. I think it's going to be Nick, Hottie, Samson. I think Martin's going to be in the mix for sure. Honestly, I was most impressed, top to bottom, how he peaked with Martin last year in the lineup. I'm not saying he should have won the show last year, but in terms of just physique on stage, he was the one that impressed me the most. So yes, I would say that's going to be my top 5.
And where do you have Urs?
Probably like 8-9 spot.
You have him top 10?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's riding in the show with a lot of momentum, and his conditioning will be there, and that's where I think he'll be. And
what's your opinion on the future of classic physique? Now that the 2 main guys, you could say. most popular guys.
I mean, full transparency. I think it's going to be it's going to be a struggle. You know, you can't replace a Chris Bumstead. You know, and then with Urs, you just lost essentially, and not that Chris is ever going to step away from his role in the sport, but that day-to-day impact that he had, obviously it's not going to be the same level. You know, like the analytics on Saturday night within the classic space, I would venture to say last year were probably greater than bodybuilding. And that's not going to be the case this year. You know, there's going to be a drastic downturn of awareness that Chris brought to the sport.
Did you follow the whole height and weight discussion going on?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Yeah, I mean,
interesting, yeah, entertaining almost.
Yeah. And I think, and this is first of all, one of my dearest friends in the sport is Neil Hill. So the first thing I'll say is if he does need to come down in weight, I am fully confident that Neil can do that. And this is also no disrespect to Mike, but I don't think that his height really mattered until last year. You know, like he wasn't in the winning mix. So if that was an oversight or a mistake, or maybe they weren't calculating it properly up until last year, I don't think that was not what doesn't make it right or wrong. I mean, who am I to say, but like, I don't think that was the most heavily weighed factor whether or not he was going to compete. Now, obviously it should be, as a front runner for the show, like he needs to be heighted correctly.
So do you think it's like a conspiracy or like, is it just coincidence that they're coming with his height now, like 2 weeks before? It almost feels like somebody's trying to put maximum stress on Mike because they waited so long. As you said, they could have brought it up earlier or last year or 2 years ago.
Well, again, like no disrespect to Mike, but 2 years ago, like, why did it really matter? You know, like it wasn't with Chris as
like a few days before the show. It almost feels like somebody, arranged it or waited.
Yeah, I mean, potentially,
to do maximum damage.
Or they could just continue to see how much he's developing, and then the question comes in the size is like, how is he continuing to make the leaps and bounds of progress that he has structurally to his, or not like muscular wise to his structure, but yet continue to make the weight. I mean, that's I think you're seeing a physical. I mean, in my opinion, Mike would be top 3 in the 212. So when you look at it like that and the type of muscle that he's put on, I think eventually that conversation is going to come to mind in terms of like, how does he continue to make weight?
Let's say he makes weight or height or whatever. Who's your top 5 in classic?
I personally am a big fan of Ramon's physique. I don't necessarily know if that it fits the classic mold that Chris has set in terms of the ratios and structure. But I would have, I think if Ramon can nail it, he'll be there. Obviously, Mike, Terrence. We just picked up Terrence as an athlete. I think Terrence is he's looking very impressive. So that would be my top 3. You got my mind just went blank.
Neil,
Yeah.
Logan.
Logan. That's what I was saying. Probably those 2. Yeah.
What about Josema?
I think he's going to be close in weight too, right? I mean, that's what I'm hearing is that there's some pressure. There's some pressure on him to make weight. So,
yeah, he came down from open. So
yeah.
Okay, your business is running, very successful, and you have 3 children. So how do you decide where to put your time and energy?
Yeah, so we just had our 3rd boy 8.5 weeks ago. So even in that, like the dynamic in terms of responsibilities, I have to give more time to my older 2. And so right now, like the family dynamic is I wake up in the morning, I'm the one that's kind of like helping really get them ready for school. Mm-hmm. I take them to school, and then most times I will then go work out. I'll work out at the office, work for the day, and I'll either pick them up from school or I'll work until about 5. I go home, and right now they're both playing football. So football it's like a 3-hour thing every night. So that's from 5:30 to 8:30. I'll take pick them up, take them to football, hang out with them. I split my time. So one's U8, under 8, one's U6. I stay at the field with half of them for half the time, then go over to the other field. And then we just come home, you know, have dinner as a family. I get them ready for bed with my wife, and that's kind of the day-to-day. So really, it's just like time management is crucial for me, you know, and my roles even within the company. I mean, initially, you know, I was essentially brought on as a formulator, and managing, you know, more so the product development, new product development, ingredients, things like that. And then even that over time has dynamically changed, and I have more of a role now in managing our Amazon business, which is a massive umbrella for us within the company. So I'm kind of like the leader of that within our brands. So it's just really just a lot of time management, you know, and that's what I focus on a day-to-day basis, is getting the most done, but also just not neglecting, again, what's most important for me at home.
Because I guess, I mean, work or opportunities are endless.
Yeah.
You could always do more, right?
Yeah.
And then you have partners.
Yes. Yeah.
And you have to arrange who does more or less, or.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, in one tone, I think in terms of opportunities, I mean, people are always coming, and really Dom is at the head of this. Like, but you know, people are always coming to us with opportunities, and you know, they want us to invest here or help there, and then really that's how we work as a unit. You know, Chris is very, very impactful visually in terms of brand identity and what he wants our brand to look like and represent from a consumer perspective. Dom is the one that controls the financial aspect of the business and truly that CEO role within our company. And then I kind of like, not for lack of a better word, not the grunt work, but like I just do what needs to be done on a daily basis, you know, and I still am very much invested in our product development just because it's a passion of mine. So product development, obviously the Amazon, you know, at a high level, like athletes and having my input and what athletes I feel are important for the company. And then a new division for us last year, due to a passion of Dom and I's, was, you know, we started to really get into endurance sports. So we've brought on that division within our company as well, and you know, and making products specifically for endurance-based athletes, and really getting to inform sport products that every athlete can take. So kind of that umbrella of developing and cultivating a true sport line within our company, and that's been something that I've been at the forefront of as well. So just kind of, you know, managing a lot and wearing different hats, but again, we just jump in and work and do what we're good at, and none of us have to micromanage each other, and we just work super hard and get stuff done.
Maybe tell us about the cooperation or the deal you did with the quality group.
Yeah, so that was, you know, honestly, from my perspective, there was like some uncertainty as far as the quality group coming in, and you know, how much control on a day-to-day basis they were going to have. But what's been honestly really refreshing is that they obviously they acquired us because of what we have, you know, in Raw, and they've just allowed us to work, you know, and we've been able to, with their help, put a lot more beneficial systems in place. Obviously, we've really exponentially expanded our staff pretty substantially. So it's just allowing us to execute and work, and then with their input and their experience, you know, it's been great to learn from them as well. So it's really truly been a good partnership. It's not been a partnership that, you know, again, going into it, like I think there was a little bit of hesitation from all of us of like, this is our baby, and we've built this from nothing. And then giving that over to somebody. But really, again, they've just allowed us to continue to do what we're good at, and then just supported us on the back end with putting more systems and structure and people in place to allow us to be better at doing our job. And it's been a great thing.
But you kept like the core competence.
Yeah. There's been no disruption at all. It's truly been just allowing us to be better.
So in Germany, bodybuilding right now, it's in the big newspapers. I mean, probably because of Urs.
Yeah.
Maybe the main reason. What about bodybuilding? What do you think about bodybuilding in the US and maybe worldwide? Is it growing? Is it getting more popular, more mainstream?
I think it's tough to say. I still think we're lacking the leadership that, and this is again just me being honest, that title holders of Ronnie and Jay and Phil. Like, I don't think that we've had a champion that's really carried that torch at the level that they did yet. Flex. And I think we're still missing that. And it's really, it's interesting to me because as you've been able to exponentially pump out more content, I still think, you know, when things were in print, to some degree, the sport was held at, from a I'm not talking classic, but from a true bodybuilding perspective, it was held at a higher regard. Mm-hmm. And then as, you know, content has become king, I don't think anybody that is winning has really stepped to the forefront of that to the level of which those guys that I just mentioned were, you know. So, I mean, honestly, like what I personally think would really create some excitement in the sport is, for example, if let's say Keon just absolutely just crushes it Friday, if they allowed him to go into the open on Saturday, you know, like, or, you know, like something like to really bring excitement like that.
Is that actually possible?
No, to this point, it's not. Because I know Sean wanted to do that a few years ago, and he had to choose either or. But like, even just making a game time decision, you know, because I think to this point, they still have the 212 awarding of ceremony.
But they would kill 212 maybe if they do that.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, but in the same instance, like I would assume Keon in the very near future is going to go up. So it's like you keep having these champions other than Sean moving up anyway. You know, Hadi, Derek, Keon.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that would drive a massive amount of exposure to the sport. Is like, who truly is the best bodybuilder on the planet? You know, defining that. But I think in this social media generation, there still needs to be true leaders that step up. And I also think, and again, this is no disrespect to any of these guys, but when the title leaves America, I think because so much of the bodybuilding media, at least from my eyes, is in the US, it loses some momentum, you know, with Hadi. And again, honestly, Hadi is my favorite bodybuilder. I just have so much respect for his work ethic and how he poses and the militantness of his approach. I love it. But with Hadi winning and Rami winning and Samson winning, it just seems like there's some disconnect. And I know Samson did a good job of being over here a lot with his title. It just seems like there's a disconnect that wasn't happening when Phil had the title and Jay had the title. But again, that's from an American perspective.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like the time between Arnold and Lee Haney. Many champions changing,
yeah,
1 or 2 years.
It's just, I think it's hard to build momentum that way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I think this is the first Mr. Olympia where we have 4 Mr. Olympias competing against each other.
Yeah,
it's the first time. Huh?
Yeah,
and maybe could be the second time somebody's able to win his title back after Jay Cutler.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to make the predictions.
I mean, there's great storylines, you know, there's for sure. I just, in my opinion, I don't think it has the same luster that it once did.
Yeah.
And maybe social media is what's, you know, the accessibility of social media is what's creating that. I don't really know. But.
So in your opinion, who's the GOAT, the greatest bodybuilder of all time?
I think from my perspective, I would say like those earlier years with Phil.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that for me, again, because like I didn't see Ron. I mean, true GOAT, I would say would be Ronnie, but like I didn't see, when I saw Ronnie, he wasn't in his prime. So like from what I've seen within my own eyes, what's that?
And you saw him live?
No, I didn't see him live. But I saw him at the tail end of his career, just like that was when my interest was peaked. But like from what I've seen, I mean, like those early 2013, 2011 Phil Heaths, like that was such a crazy look to me.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, it was Dorian Yates.
Yeah.
And I think it sticks, you know.
Yeah.
The first impression you have when you start in the sport at being 15 or 16 years old, the first guys you see.
And even honestly, Phil's Arnold Classic look when he lost was one of my favorite looks too. So when he came out in the blue trunks and prejudging, it was crazy.
I remember Sean winning in 18 because I was competing in 18 and I saw it live. That was, that was impressive.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
You only got the chance one time.
I know. Yeah. Good. All right, cool.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
your time.